Hey guys, here is a little bit of a rundown on special education parental rights just for our district so you know what all is required and needs to happen when it comes to special education and communicating with parents. So what is the history of parental rights in special education? So you all know the Individuals with Disabilities Act. This was reauthorized in 2004, and this act includes procedures for schools to use in regards to eligibility of services and other parental rights. This act was born because the previous law for it was not designed to help students achieve their full potential, so it was rewritten into the IDEA Act, the Individuals with Disabilities Act. These rights are put into place to help parents and schools build the best programs for students in need, students with disabilities who qualify for services. So what is considered a parent in the state of Kansas? So there are a couple of different things that a parent could be. So in Kansas, a parent could be obviously the biological parent. It could be an adoptive parent, a person acting as a parent. That just means like a relative, so a grandparent, an aunt, an uncle, a sibling that has taken on that parental role. A legal guardian, an appointed education advocate, or a foster parent who would actually be an appointed education advocate if that were the situation. So what rights do parents have? The biggest point of knowing what parents have as rights is just knowing that they have the right to participate in the entire process of building the IEP and those services for their kids. So they have full participation in decision making and communicating with the members of the decision-making team. They also have full participation in the initial evaluation and reevaluation steps within the IEP, developing the IEP to qualify for the free and public education. And then they also have the right to consent or agree or deny the decisions that are made and the different steps that are made within the IEP. So they can approve it or they can deny it. But they really have free reign and control over what they want for their children during the IEP process. So kind of looking from the school point of view, what does the school need to do? Requirements for the school with special education. So provide notice for the meeting in the language of a parent. So if they are not English speaking, you need to provide it in their language. So if it's Spanish, you need to provide it in Spanish. If it's French, you need to provide it in French. So communicate with them, provide all procedures and records to them as well. Notify parents of new identifications, new evaluations or placements, or even a service change. They need to be identified and communicated and notified throughout all of it. And then they also need to be notified to gather the IEP team, and members of the IEP team need to be notified within a certain time frame. And also they need to make sure that they can make it to the meeting since it is a legal document that they are working with. Some other things to know about this process. So at the age of 18, so high school teachers, you guys might be wondering about this a little bit. So parental rights go to the child at the age of 18, and they can either allow their parents to continue being involved in that process, or at that point, the child can solely take it on. That is truly up to them, and they decide that when they are 17. Divorced parents must both be notified. So if there are two separate homes, or if one parent has more responsibility than the other, they still both need to be notified. Any disagreements that happen within the IEP can be entitled to due process or mediation through the courts. So if parents aren't getting along with the school, which hopefully would not happen, it could make it to the court, and then the court could decide on the ruling and what should happen with that. And then something else that might be useful to know is that services only end with written consent. So they can't just call the school and say, hey, I don't want services for my kid anymore. That needs to be a written form of consent. That is a very brief, broad explanation of parental rights. You can find more at our source that we use today, ksde.org. They have lots of great resources for special education. And then today we also used Powtoons for this. If you have any questions for us, contact your admin members, your team leaders in your building, at your school for more questions. Thank you.